is regulated by circadian and homeostatic drive. In this video, I am going to tell you what is circadian drive, what is homeostatic drive, and what is the role of melatonin in inducing sleep. Welcome back to HM Learnings. I am Harshita, the creator of HM Learnings, where students come to clear their concept and to get the study material. Make sure that you have subscribed my channel. You can also follow HM Learnings on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter for daily updates. We have started uploading all our content on website SlideShare. You can easily download and clip our slides from that website. So with this, we are going to start our today's video, that is about sleep physiology part 3, and in this we are going to discuss about the factors which are regulating the balance between the sleep and the wakefulness, as well as the role of melatonin. So in the previous video, if you remember, we have talked about the flip-flop model, and the flip-flop model basically discussed that how the balance between the neural activity, the balance between the neural activity of the two areas, the sleep promoting areas and the wake promoting areas, is being in the way of a flip-flop. So neural activity is being there in such a way that the one area is having the more activity at a time, which is going to inhibit the another area and actually execute its function. So if sleep promoting area has a more activity, it is going to inhibit the ascending arousal system and it is going to execute the sleep pattern. So we have also seen that there is mutually inhibitory connections between these areas, and that is how you can say that this acts as a neural switch. So only one only one cortical state, either the sleep or the awake, will be present at one particular time. So for more details and for more description, if you haven't watched the previous video, go and watch it, because that video is the basic of this video. So in this video, we are actually going to discuss that who decides that where will be the neural switch, where will be the neural switch on, and where will be the neural switch will remain off. So these factors are basically going to decide that either the person is going into sleep or will remain awake. So these factors are circadian drive and the homeostatic drive, which we are going to discuss in this video. So this is the same thing, the same description of the flip-flop model, and this is actually showing the balance, or you can say the interaction between the two drives, the circadian and the homeostatic drive, that how the interaction between these two drives are going to govern the wakefulness and the sleep period. So in this you can see that we have day night, we have alternate day night periods, and in that period how the two factors, the circadian, which is a wake drive, and the sleep drive, which is a homeostatic drive. So one drive is actually favoring more wakefulness and the another drive is actually favoring more sleep. Okay, we can't say that the circadian drive is favoring only the wakefulness. It is not like that, but it is favoring more wakefulness than the sleep. So you can see here that as a day begins, what is happening, that the homeostatic drive means that the metabolites which are getting accumulated as we are awake. So we are awake, we are using ATP. So that ATP, the metabolites of the ATP, like the adenosine, accumulates as the day progresses. So as it accumulates as a homeostatic metabolites are accumulating, they're actually increasing the drive for the sleep, they're actually increasing the sleep pressure, they're actually increasing the tendency to fall asleep. But what is happening during the day, the sleep drive is increasing, but the circadian drive is also increasing. So circadian drive is actually ensuring that you are not sleeping. So it is counterbalancing the sleep drive. Okay. Now what is happening, that as the night comes, what happens, or as your usual bedtime comes, the circadian rhythm collapse, and here you can say that the sleep drive is at its maximum. So the tendency of the sleep is maximum. So you can see here that circadian rhythm is actually promoting wakefulness during the daytime, but it is actually promoting the sleepiness at the night time when by the sudden collapse in its drive, and the sleep drive is actually decreasing as a person is sleeping. Okay, as the sleep progresses, and the circadian rhythm is actually also falling more in order to allow the adequate amount of the sleep. So even though the sleep drive is lowering, the circadian drive
is also lowering. So that is how it is ensuring that we are going to get a adequate amount of the sleep. And then before usual time or at the usual time of our wakefulness, the circadian rhythm is again increasing, and the sleep drive is also increasing because we are now awake, so we are using our ATPs. So this is the introductory part. Now we are going to see that what is exactly the circadian drive and what is exactly the homeostatic drive. So first we are going to discuss about the circadian drive, and before that we should know what is circadian rhythm. Okay, so circadian rhythm is 24-hour physiological rhythm that synchronizes the internal state of an animal with external daily environment and anticipate various physiological demands that occur on daily basis. So basically in the external environment we have 24 hours a day. So how does our body, how does our internal structures or internal physiology which is happening, internal physiological processes which are happening, they are going to be sync with the external environment. Okay, so in order to remain alive, we have to sync our body processes with the external environment, and that synchronization is called as a circadian rhythm. So if the day externally is of 24 hours, our body system, all the physiological processes are also designed in that according to that 24 hours period. Okay, so some physiological processes which we need to do, which our body need to perform during the daytime, will be synchronized with the daytime in the external environment. Similarly for the processes which needs to occur at the night. So for example, the very common example is the secretion of cortisol. So what happens in the early morning? The secretion of cortisol happens. Why? It actually makes our body ready for the upcoming or ready for the day, okay, ready for the next day, so that when we awake we are full of energy. Okay, so that is how our body, the internal state of our body is actually synchronized with the external environment, that we are going to wake up at 6 o'clock, so there must be a secretion of cortisol around 4 or 5, so that it gives you adequate amount of energy. And similarly, like the urine output, so at the night we have less urine output. So how the body knows that this is night? Okay, how the body knows that this is night and now the urine output needs to be reduced? So for that the body needs to detect and the body needs to synchronize with the external environment, and that synchronization is called as a circadian rhythm. And who does this synchronization? The answer is suprachiasmatic nucleus of the hypothalamus. Okay, so this suprachiasmatic nucleus of hypothalamus synchronize our internal state with the external environment, so that we can anticipate various physiological demands that we need to fulfill in order to remain alive. Okay, so this is basically the suprachiasmatic nucleus is basically a group of GABAergic neurons. And sleep-wake, so the circadian rhythm is not only in the sleep-wake cycle, in the secretion of hormones, like the most common example is cortisol, blood pressure, urine output, autonomic processes, and body temperature also follows a circadian rhythm. So now we know that what is circadian rhythm and who is going to maintain the circadian rhythm. We need to know that, and we know that sleep-wake cycle, that we need to sleep at night and we need to wake up in the morning, that also follows a circadian rhythm. But how it is happening? How the suprachiasmatic nucleus has a role in sleep-wake cycle? So the answer is that the suprachiasmatic nucleus is actually promoting the wakefulness, okay, and it is active in the daytime and not active in the night. So how it remains active in the daytime, we are going to see in the next slide. But here, how the suprachiasmatic nucleus, what is the role of suprachiasmatic nucleus in the circadian rhythm, and then how does it maintain the circadian rhythm, or you can say basically how the wakefulness is being promoted. So the role of suprachiasmatic nucleus in the sleep-wake cycle is that it promotes a wakefulness. So how it does so? That suprachiasmatic nucleus is basically a group of GABAergic neurons. So whenever it active, it is going to project the GABAergic neurons to the areas to which these neurons are going. So here what is happening, that because GABAergic neurons are going, it is going to inhibit the area. So it is actually inhibiting which area? Subparaventricular zone, which is in the hypothalamus. Now what is happening, that subparaventricular zone is also having the GABAergic projections which are going to the dorsomedial nucleus of hypothalamus. So it is inhibiting this area. So now what happens, because the suprachiasmatic nucleus is active and it is inhibiting this subparaventricular zone, there will be disinhibition of this dorsal medial nucleus. So now this dorsal medial nucleus is actually out of inhibition of this area, and now it is going to do its function, which is it is going to promote the activation of the lateral hypothalamic area, and it is going to inhibit the ventrolateral preoptic area. So if you remember the previous video, the wake promoting areas and the sleep promoting areas, you must know that the lateral hypothalamic area promotes a wakefulness and the ventrolateral preoptic nucleus is going to promote the sleep. Okay, so because this area is inhibited, there will be inhibition of the sleep, and because this area is activated, it is going to promote the wakefulness. So that is how the suprachiasmatic nucleus promotes the wakefulness. The suprachiasmatic nucleus is a master clock. Basically, it is going to maintain the circadian rhythm of ours, and one of the circadian rhythm is maintained in the sleep-wake cycle, and that is maintained how suprachiasmatic nucleus basically promotes the wakefulness. It is more active in the daytime, less active in the night time, and that is why opposite is going to happen in the night time. So the opposite thing means what? This will remain inactive. So this area will actually inhibit dorsomedial nucleus of the hypothalamus. So this area will remain inhibited and this area will remain activated. So as a result, what is going to happen? There will be change, there will be promotion, there will be induction of the sleep, and there will be inhibition of the wakefulness. So I will again repeat this. The suprachiasmatic nucleus, it is active during the daytime, so it is going to send the GABAergic neurons, inhibit the subparaventricular zone. Because of that, there will be disinhibition of dorsomedial nucleus of hypothalamus, which is lead to the excitation of the area which is promoting the wakefulness and inhibition of the area which is preventing the sleep. Okay, and opposite is going to happen in the night. So now the question came that we understood what is circadian rhythm, we have understood what is the center of the circadian rhythm, who drives the circadian rhythm, and then we come to know that circadian rhythm is basically driven by the suprachiasmatic nucleus, and suprachiasmatic nucleus is more active during the daytime, less active during the night time, and it actually promotes the wakefulness. But how the suprachiasmatic nucleus comes to know that there is a night and there is a day? Okay, so because it needs to do what? It needs to synchronize our internal state with the external environment. So for that nucleus should get a clue from the outside to know whether it is a night or whether it is a day. So for that we have a light clues which are going to the forget to write L here. So light clues should go to suprachiasmatic nucleus, and it is going by what? By the help of this retinohypothalamic fibers. So light falls on the eye, on the ganglion cell layer. Here it's not the rod and the cone, it's basically the ganglion cell layer which act as a sensor, and they contain a pigment called as a melanoopsin. This melanoopsin pigment gets depolarized when the light falls on the ganglion cell, and these axons of this melanoopsin containing neurons run in the retinohypothalamic fibers. So this is going to reach the suprachiasmatic nucleus. So the answer comes here that why the suprachiasmatic nucleus remains active more during the daytime, because the light clues are coming by the help of retinohypothalamic fibers which are going to activate this suprachiasmatic nucleus. And during the night, what happens? No light clues are coming. Okay, well, yeah, you can say you can say that less light clues are coming, so the suprachiasmatic nucleus is less active. So this inhibition on the subparaventricular zone will be lost, and there will be induction of the sleep. Okay, so now apart from this, the circadian rhythm is not only in the sleep-wake cycle but also in regulating the secretion some of the hormones, and the common example is cortisol. But apart from this, there is one more hormone which follows the circadian rhythm, and that is melatonin, and this hormone has a very important role in inducing sleep. So melatonin is actually a hormone of darkness. Okay, it actually tells the body that it's dark now. So how it is happening? This is actually showing you a simple thing that the melatonin is actually following the circadian rhythm. So it is actually saying that melatonin synthesis and secretion are increased during the dark time, and it is maintained at a lower level during the light period. So that is how it is following the circadian rhythm. नाइट में ज़्यादा secretion है, डे में कम secretion है. So this is also showing you the same thing, that melatonin is synthesized into the from the serotonin, and serotonin you can see during the, this is actually the dark period and this is the daytime. So during daytime what is happening, the level is maintained, but during night time the level is decreased. Why? Because it is being metabolized, it is being synthesized, it is being converted into the melatonin. So the levels of the serotonin is being decreased, and the levels of the enzymes and other metabolites are increased. Melatonin level is also more during the night time, and it is then secreted into the blood. Okay, so melatonin is synthesized in the pinealocytes and is secreted into the blood and the CSF, and it is follow a diurnal rhythm. It actually acts as a signal. Okay, it actually acts as a signal for many of the cells which has the melatonin receptors, and whenever its secretion is increasing, it is basically the dark time. So it actually acts as a signal for the other cells that it's now a dark now. Okay, so their function will be get changed. Okay, so this diurnal variation, how does that is happening, you can see here. So the light clues are coming to the suprachiasmatic nucleus by the help of this retinohypothalamic tract. Now as we know, suprachiasmatic nucleus has what? GABAergic neurons. So this is actually going to inhibit the paraventricular nucleus, and so let's suppose it's night, okay, light is not coming. So what is happening? This nucleus is less active. So what is happening, that paraventricular nucleus is sending its impulse to the intermediolateral horn of the spinal cord, that is actually sending the neurons to the superior cervical ganglion, and the superior cervical ganglion is sending the neurons to the pineal gland. Okay, now this pineal gland is secreting the melatonin. So melatonin is basically, by this you can understand that at night the melatonin is secreted because suprachiasmatic nucleus is not active at that time, so the inhibition on the paraventricular nucleus is lost. So as a result, this activation can happen, this path can be active and the melatonin can be secreted. Okay, so this you can see that. So here what is happening, that non-epinephrine, so these neurons, the postganglionic neurons, the postganglionic parasympathetic neurons are basically releasing the non-epinephrine on the pineal glands, and it has basically the beta adrenergic receptors which are going to increase the cyclic AMP level, and cyclic AMP is actually cause the increase in this N-acetyl transferase activity, and which is going to actually increase the secretion and synthesis of the melatonin. Okay, so now what is the role of melatonin in inducing sleep? How does it do so? So you can see in this diagram that melatonin is acting on the suprachiasmatic nucleus via the help of the two types of the receptors, and the very important one is actually the empty one. So empty one is actually inhibiting the adrenal cyclase, and it results in the sleepiness. So the overall effect of the melatonin is that it actually shifts the circadian rhythm, and it actually promotes the sleep onset by increasing the homeostatic drive to sleep. So circadian rhythm, it decreases the circadian drive and increases the homeostatic drive. So what happens? There will be increase in the sleep, there will be induction of the sleep. So circadian rhythm is decreased, homeostatic drive is increased, so there will be induction of the sleep. Okay, so I hope you are clear with the circadian drive. So circadian drive is basically driven by the suprachiasmatic nucleus, and suprachiasmatic nucleus is basically maintaining the circadian drive, the circadian rhythm, and we have this thing, the melatonin also. So this is basically going to, majorly it is promoting the wakefulness, but it is actually promoting the sleepiness also, but more wakefulness. Homeostatic drive, as I already said, it is a pressure which depends upon the humoral factors. So like the adenosine, most common one is the adenosine. Glucose is also there, but adenosine is the most known. So adenosine accumulates due to dephosphorylation of ATP in the awake state, and this adenosine is going to bind to two types of the receptors on various cells, type 1 and type 2A. So type 1 is basically a type of an inhibitory receptor which is on the wake promoting areas, and by this it causes the inhibition of the wake promoting area, so induces sleep. Type 2A is present on the nucleus accumbens, which promotes which actually projects to hypothalamus and from there to ventrolateral preoptic area and activate it to induce the sleep. So it directly and indirectly promotes the sleep. So this is a mechanism of homeostatic drive. So homeostatic drive is basically on the humoral factors, specifically the adenosine, as well as glucose also. That is why we are actually feeling sleepy after eating food. So whenever the glucose level rises, the homeostatic drive increases, so sleep pressure increases. So I hope you are clear with this video. And if you have any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section, and please comment down your suggestions for the upcoming video. It will really help me to decide what should I post next on my channel. And please like, share and subscribe our channel. And if you have any doubt, again you can ask me. I usually follow Candle, that is the principle of neural sciences, for all the neurophysiology video, and I will also share the link of all the books which I follow so that you can download them and refer to the original sources. So I just hope that you like this video, and please comment down. So till then, keep learning.